You might wonder whether or not Boris Johnson or David Cameron is circumspect. Well, the answer is no. In his unpublished, forthcoming memoir, Unleashed, Boris Johnson makes a startling revelation about the late Queen Elizabeth II, disclosing that she had been secretly battling bone cancer in the year leading up to her death. And this revelation, along with its timing, raises deep concerns about discretion, both personal and institutional. For centuries, the British monarchy has been shrouded in a deliberate veil of privacy, especially when it comes to the health of its members, and the latest indiscretion by a former Prime Minister continues a troubling pattern, challenging the limits of what ought to be kept private in the highest echelons of power. To grasp the gravity of this situation, one needs only to recall the seemingly lighter but equally inappropriate breach by the former Prime Minister David Cameron, another Eton boy. After the Scottish independence referendum in 2014, Cameron let slip that the Queen had purred when she heard the news of the vote's result. A minor detail, perhaps, but a telling sign of what should never have left the confines of his privileged conversations with the monarch. Now, Johnson's far more consequential revelation risks undermining public trust in the sanctity of private discussions between the monarch and the minister, the prime minister, these little chats once a week. Johnson's revelation of the Queen's health raises profound questions about the ethical boundaries of political memoirs. There is a responsibility upon those in positions of high office to handle sensitive information, particularly regarding the health of public figures, with the utmost care. The late Queen, while a figurehead, still deserves the dignity and privacy afforded to any individual. And the fact that she carried on with her duties until her final days while secretly enduring such a grave illness speaks volumes about her dedication to the nation. But Johnson's decision to disclose her struggle without any prior public acknowledgement from Buckingham Palace violates that long-standing protocol of royal discretion. This issue is not just about royal privacy. It speaks of a broader failure of judgment. And if a Prime Minister can betray confidences as sacred as his private meetings with the Queen, what does that say about the calibre of his discretion and the calibre of his education? What does that say about the calibre of the education taught at Britain's most elite institutions like Eton, where Johnson and Cameron were both educated, both in discreet shits? It seems that, despite the privileged education they received, these individuals, both of them, have struggled to internalize the responsibility that comes with wielding power and influence. Neither of them should be allowed near the organs of power again, because they are both demonstrably incapable of keeping a secret. Indeed, the historical precedent is one of great restraint. The monarchy has long kept personal struggles away from the public eye, only releasing details which were deemed necessary. Giles Brandreth, a royal historian and wag, has previously speculated in his own book that Queen Elizabeth suffered from a form of bone marrow cancer. But speculation is one thing. Confirmation by a former Prime Minister, especially in such a public form, is quite different. And at the heart of the matter is a basic question of respect. Respect for the individual, for the institution of the monarchy, for the memory of the late Queen, for the office of the Prime Minister. And the late Queen's health was a matter of state importance. Therefore, the information, the medical diagnosis, would have been on the Prime Minister's desk. But it was also a deeply personal battle. By publicising her illness after her death, Johnson not only opens the door to further public speculation, but also jeopardizes the tradition of royal confidentiality that has been carefully preserved for generations. Ultimately, this latest breach of trust from Johnson raises the issue of what limits, if any, can be placed on former leaders once they leave office. And the stories about some sort of super injunction covering something going on at the moment, it's just the stuff. It's just the stuff of nonsense. If you can't keep the trust between the Prime Minister and the monarch, then what other indiscretion is worth some sort of super injunction? Nothing is. Should we expect that future memoirs from public officials will reveal even more intimate details about private individuals? Or is this a unique case of poor judgment rooted in a broader pattern of indiscretion and banter from one person so close to the throne? What is clear is that this revelation adds to a growing sense of unease surrounding the privacy of the royal family in modern Britain. While they continue to hold a ceremonial role, the Queen's health was and remains a profoundly personal matter. By turning this into fodder for a memoir, Johnson has once again drawn attention to his cavalier approach to boundaries, discretion, and dignity. This isn't just about royal privacy. This isn't just about Johnson's memoir. It's about the integrity of the office of Prime Minister, the values of discretion and responsibility that surround it and that come with such high office. And as Cameron once embarrassed the monarchy by making the Queen purr in public, Johnson has crossed a more serious line by revealing private medical details about a beloved monarch. It suggests a breakdown in basic respect, expected by those in power, expected of those in power, that guarantees the machinery of power, leaving the question, what other boundaries are there that are going to fall? Where do we go now?